Adam McGregor writes, "Hey Collider, I was wondering whatever happened to the big screen adaptation of Stephen King's The Stand? Wasn't Matthew McConaughey rumored to be the villain?"
Yeah, this is going all the way back to November of last year, and reports came out that Matthew McConaughey was in talks to play Randall Flagg, who's like this supernaturally powered cowboy who has his base of operations in the rubbles of Las Vegas and all this kind of stuff. And he's kind of like he's the antagonist of the film, or of the story at any point. And since then, nothing. Complete radio silence. I haven't heard a thing. Now, I've got no reason to believe that it's not happening, but this was going back almost a year now, and we haven't heard anything further. My starting assumption right now is that the project has been shelved. That's my assumption, but I'm not basing that on any knowledge. I'm just saying, I'm not hearing anything for almost a year. I'm assuming it's been put on the shelf. As soon as we hear more, we will let you guys know. Schnepp, first of all, have you heard anything? Do you think this is still going on? And if it does, what do you think about the whole arrangement?
I read The Stand when I was in high school. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books. It's fantastic, and that character, Randall Flagg, is truly a frightening bad guy, a bad villain, really well written. When I heard Matthew McConaughey was up for it, especially with his turn in True Detective, I could see that so crystal clear. That's like such perfect casting. They've already done a bunch of different versions of The Stand for television. There's been miniseries. I don't think they've nailed it yet, and I think doing a big budget Hollywood-style film with these big actors playing these characters could be fantastic. So I hope that it's not shelved, but you're right. We haven't heard anything, but sometimes that happens where everything is radio silence, and then they're like, they start shooting in Georgia next week. You're like, what? Like,
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
That's what I'm hoping is like literally their principal photography has begun for the Stand. You're like, what? So that's what I'm hoping happens.
Yeah, I just assumed that those Lincoln commercials were like a precursor to what's going on. Just driving around like all these people about to get diseased. Like I never read The Stand. My sister did, and then she turned me on to the miniseries, and I really enjoyed the miniseries when it aired on TV. And so this is something I really want to happen, especially with Matthew McConaughey as Randall Flagg. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard any updates, though. So, again, it's interesting how many times with all the news that we talk about on this show that you just read, oh, this movie started shooting. Yeah. And now it's happening. So I'd love to see The Stand. How long would that movie be, though? Because the miniseries was like...
Didn't they? I think
easily
originally
like
they
6
said,
hours, right?
I think originally they said it was going to be like either a 3 or a 4-part series. I think they said it was going to be 3 or 4 films.
You wonder if that's one of the things that's holding up production, because that's what kind of railroaded Cary Fukunaga doing it, right? That there was a vision of doing it, but it has to be this long thing and maybe in 2 parts. And people it's harder to adapt Stephen King novels just because they're so damn long.
Well,
but great.
The Stand is specifically one of the harder novels to adapt because it's a really big story.
It's like 1,200 pages.
Yeah, and it's
the average book's about 300 pages is the average novel. This novel's like 4 times.
And there's a lot of
the
character
size.
development that goes along with it, where you actually care about all these characters. Like, so by the end of it, it matters. You have to have that. So I don't know how they would do it in 2.5 hours. I'd like to see it, though. I'd like it would really be trimming everything down to like one main character who kind of like has to choose between good and evil. I think that's basically simplifying it a lot,